Hi again. Every once in a while, you want to work on individual channels in an image in Howler, and it might be the red, green, and blue channels, or it might be something different like the value channel you want to work with. You might just want to work with value and leave the color information alone. And you can do that in Howler. It's not something we do every day, probably, but you can do it. I'm going to go ahead and do color transform and RGB to YUV, and we'll get this kind of a funny looking image. I'll store a copy of that if we want to come back to it later. But what is this? What is this image we're looking at? Well, how do we interpret that? Well, it's a YUV image. Y stands for luminance, and the UV is sort of an offset from the luminance, which veers off into different colors. But let's take a look at the individual channels with the channel tool. That's under the image menu. And this first channel happens to be the luminance channel, which is a nice grayscale image. The second channel is U channel, which is uh, sort of an offset from that luminance, and the same with the V channel. That's what gives you your color information. We can leave these two alone and just work on this luminance channel if we want to. We could do something like we could blur it, or we could do a median filter, or any other number of operation to it. I'm going to do a project today that's a little different. Probably use something like the stylize. Let's use the make normal map. This will be interesting. Um, and we see this in color now. But keep in mind, since we're working on a single channel, this will later be transformed back into a grayscale. But for now, it's going to look like a color image. I'm going to do something like this. Let's go back to there. All right. So, and since this is going to be interpreted as color, I can go ahead and have a little bit of control over what that channel will look like in grayscale by using the converting it back to a grayscale by pushing it through this colored lens. And we can by doing this, we can sort of get a little control of how the lighting looks on this. So I'm going to put it right there, hit OK. Now, as you see, I can go back to these other channels, and that will be still a grayscale. All right, so we have our luminance channel and our Y and our UV channels there. And I'll go back to all, and we'll see that. We don't need that anymore. So that's basically it. And we can see what that looks like in earnest by going back to color transforms and YUV to RGB. And there you have it. We've created this kind of unique color emboss effect um, from that original image. I'll store a copy of that. In fact, I'll go back a few steps, and we can see our original. Store a copy of that, and we can go, and if we want, we can cross dissolve between the two. So there you go. Fairly unique looking emboss effect created by working on just the value channel. Fun little project in Howler. Hopefully informative. Thanks for watching, and talk to you later.